You're listening to the Hunt Suburbia podcast. I'm your host, Pat Guyette. Big bucks I've been dreaming often, every night till I'm in a coffin. Vermont woods to the burbs of Boston, I'm looking for a tree to get lost in. Crisp mornings, little dust in the snow, quality time, just me and my bow. Fall evenings, I know just where to go for some quality times for me and my bow. It's just me and my bow. This week, I sit down with Jon Petryk again. This is my second interview with Jon. He is a really great hunter, one of the best hunters in Massachusetts for sure. He's a great archer as well. He's killed some incredible Massachusetts bucks. This last year, he also got a 160 plus inch 8-pointer with a bunch of junk sticking out of it. And by a bunch, I mean 12 extra points in Illinois. So we talk a little bit about that. But we start out talking laws and rules and regulations and some things in Massachusetts that we like, some things maybe we'd like to see change in the future as far as the regulations go. Then we get into a little bit of shed hunting since we're approaching that season. And we finish with talking about Jon's love for growing giant pumpkins. Hope you like this one. Here's Jon Petryk. All right, another episode of Hunt Suburbia, and this time I'm in Jon Petryk's house and looking at all of his awesome mounts on the wall. And we're in the dining room, which is some of the real estate that you actually have permission to put some stuff on the wall, right?
That's right.
Yeah. He was telling me, he's like, yeah, the only place I can't put any mounts in the kitchen. The wife says no mounts in the kitchen. Everywhere else, I'm good.
Yeah, kitchen, bedroom, her bathroom. That's the safe zones anyway.
But yeah, man, really incredible mounts. We just walked through and talked a lot about each of his deer and the different mounts. You want to start with that story just about this one real quick because it was pretty funny. I was like, what is this, your oldest mount? And he's like, yeah, it's one of the oldest ones, and it was the first time you walked in with a climber in the dark?
Yeah, first time I'd gone in the dark and, picked a tree and, I knew it was a decent area at least and hoping for a buck in November. And ended up, lights coming up. I can't find one, trying to be quiet, and found like a 4-inch tree and, put my big self in it. Did a little grunt and right at sunup, and a deer came in like 15 minutes later. It was a quick hunt. And, but it's
beautiful 8-pointer.
Yeah, it's memorable,
Yep. It reminds me of the one that I just got mounted. Looks pretty similar, although I think yours is probably still bigger. I'm looking at his 2 Massachusetts racks on the wall from this year, which are great bucks, and you don't know if you're going to get them mounted yet. I mean, you've got them Euro'd already.
Yeah, so any deer I shoot, I try to clean the skulls up, and because I like to hold them at least and until they get mounted. And,
yeah, that was one thing I noticed. You always Euro before you mount.
I always do it. Yeah, no matter what. And then I end up with a skull after they cut the rack out, and I can use that to put a skull cap. If someone just cut the antlers off, I can mount those antlers on that skull for them, make a Euro for them if they want.
And taxidermists don't mind that, or is it?
You got to find one that'll allow you to do it. I don't like giving up my horns for for years or
right.
months or whatever. But I like to hold them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are beautiful ones, and then your awesome Illinois buck is in the taxidermist right now.
Yep.
And he just showed me where he's going to put that on the wall. What's that pose called? It's going to be a nice.
It's
turn left.
Yeah, it's a right hand. It's a right hand turn, wall pedestal, and we got to have the head manipulate a little bit so it looks down because it'll be kind of high in the wall.
Yeah.
So they got to cut the head off and do all kinds of fun stuff with that.
So did you hunt at all in January, or was when January turns around, you're done?
Yep.
Yep.
As soon as it hits the new year, it just starts on sheds.
I know. I can't believe you don't go down to Rhode Island or something and chase a later season.
I spend so much time, and I don't even hunt New Hampshire, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. And you're not too far.
Yeah. I mean, I could probably shoot my bow and hit it.
Yep.
It's right up the street. But really, the amount of time I put into it, my work schedule, trying to get everything settled down and all my projects finished up, and by the end of September, I really need that end of September versus going up into New Hampshire, start early hunting and doing that stuff. I do take trips down to Pennsylvania. They open, I think it's September 9th this past year. I think don't quote me on that, but it's earlier, and I go down for a weekend and spend some time with my family down there. It was weird with COVID, this year, and I lived in, my sister has a little camper in their driveway. I lived in that.
Yeah, that's cool.
But at least I could.
So you grew up there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you hunted Pennsylvania as a kid?
Yep. I started out at 12, I think, down there, and all the way up through college. My first year of college or something like that. I never finished school, but I hunted it at school too, at Lock Haven University. I'd cut classical, sit in a tree. Well, that didn't work out so well, but I'd be out there hunting deer too, until I moved up here. I think I had maybe a year off, where I think there's a year when I didn't get a license when I first moved up here. I just didn't know the area or anything, and transitioning, and then and I met a coworker that hunted around here, and he's like, yeah, I just hunt right around here and stuff, and it really got me into the the suburban game. Yeah. Because I would never think, so many houses around. I'm from Pennsylvania with cornfields and this,
Right. And big wood. Like, what part of Pennsylvania were you hunting?
Bethlehem Allentown area, Lehigh Valley. So we do have cities, but, I lived on top of a mountain, and, I think we have 16 acres. We live next to a tree farm. The whole hill, the whole mountain there was, everyone has a few acres, but it's spread out. Yeah. And we used to go rifle hunting out in Tioga County. That's nothing but woods and fields, and, to have it. And I moved up here, and it's just, full of houses, and just never thought that,
Yeah, I mean, that's a common theme I'm hearing.
Right.
A lot of people, and myself included, I was like that.
Right.
I couldn't believe that you can hunt here.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I hope it still is pretty difficult in a lot of suburban places to find the right setbacks and stuff. And,
Absolutely,
I'm pretty soon I'm going to be having a podcast with Mass Wildlife. I've been talking with them, and they're going to be increasing. Well, they're thinking they might be increasing the prices for licenses for the first time in 25 years. Yeah. Like I'm kind of on your side right now.
I just bought mine, and
they're cheap.
What was it, $46 or something like that? For
really cheap.
I can't quite remember, but it was under $100 for everything.
Yeah, with one broadhead and one arrow is can get up to that price so.
Easily. Yeah.
But there's some arguments and some valid arguments, right? Where we're the ones, hunters' licenses and fees, and from any gear that we buy, the taxes on that we pay for. A lot of these WMA lands and
for sure, yeah.
Conservation lands, and kayakers and hikers and stuff, they're not necessarily paying for it.
Yeah.
So if they, what I'm saying. So
I agree. It's a hard thing to point fingers at who owns what, because we all really own it, and,
right.
And I like those shirts that say public landowner. It's pretty cool.
Yep.
But I mean, and how that's a tough topic, because how would you go about licensing these people to do that?
Yeah, just
because think about it,
or something.
Yeah, like kayakers. I mean, do they have to register a canoe or their kayak? I don't think they have to, unless it has a motor, right?
Yep.
Maybe look at that somehow, or but it's
like on the other side, just open up. A lot of people are saying like open up Sunday hunting for hunters, like let because why can somebody who's like snowshoeing or cross country skiing or whatever use the woods any time of the day? It's really the unfounded fear that a hunter brings danger to the woods. Right.
I mean, and that's, well, I mean, when that started originally, what was it? So people would go to church, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So people go to church instead of hunt.
Yep.
So really in the long run, and I hate to say it, and people look down on me for it, but I'm not a fan of Sunday hunting. I really enjoy that day off to hang out with my family.
Yep.
My wife, kid now. While I'm still working, when there's leaves and stuff, it's Sunday. I'm at your house doing leaves. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I have that extra day of.
And I'm not totally against what you're saying either.
Right,
like I'm with you there too.
And I can check cameras. I can do whatever on a Sunday. Not to, I mean, I'm not
also,
saying
it
that
does keep some hunters,
Right.
it allows some of our bucks to get older because there would be a
Absolutely.
significant amount of more bucks harvested.
Absolutely.
Right?
You think about the average hunter, when did they hunt? The weekend.
Yep.
And they take off, let's say, a week a year to go hunt.
Yep.
Now you're almost doubling their time in the woods. I mean, there would probably be, either a shorter season, or maybe they would take one buck tag away because we get two. There would be a setback because of the extra time.
Yep.
And then people that were complaining that there's no deer are
Right.
really going to see no deer because a lot more are going to get shot.
Yep.
And just same thing with the doe tags.
It's one of those grass is always greener
Yes,
things.
yeah. So I mean, there would be some kind of blowback from that. But I'm, as a self-employed person, I can really, I do hunt pretty much any time I want.
Yeah.
And I make it that way. It's hard. I have some sacrifices that I have to do that, but it's hard to say to the normal guy that, that works a 40-hour-a-week job or more.
Yeah, right.
And Saturday's their day. And then what if it, this past year, I think it rained the first and second day weekend of shotgun on the Saturdays. That's awful. That's great. And especially if you're not a bow hunter, great. Now what I do?
Yeah.
It rained on the 2 days that I want to hunt.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yep. Well, you got to learn. You got to love the rain. I
Yeah.
do love hunting in the rain.
Yeah.
If you can get over it and get out and love it and really enjoy it, then I do. I love being in the rain for some reason. It's very quiet walking and
Yeah, I'm
good time to still hunt.
I don't. Well, I've had success in the rain, but then also, I mean, you really, it limits your, I'll limit my shots from 50 to, 25.
Yep.
And just because, is it going to pour later and wash away my blood trail?
Yep.
Really have to make sure that shot's, not that I don't anyway, but,
Yeah. Your shot selection's got to be way more careful.
Way different, yeah, for sure.
So Pennsylvania, it was a combination of big woods and small. Were you bow hunting out there too?
Oh, yep, absolutely. I started out. Did I start out with a gun? I think I started out with a gun. My father was a gun hunter. I remember my first deer I took with his 270. It ran in and I shot it, just fell over. I'm like, okay, cool. I climbed down and woke my dad up. Hey, I got one. He's like, no, you didn't. Get back in the tree. I'm like, yeah, come on, it's laying here. So, but pretty.
270 does the trick.
Oh yeah. Just laid him over, and okay, that was kind of fun. But then I think I shot my first one with a bow, maybe 2 years after that. It took me a while, and it was my first buck. It was a little 7-pointer. I'll have to find the rack somewhere. It's somewhere
in the pile of hundreds of antlers.
So I remember that, and I shot it, and it went. I think I hit it in the spine, and I did a follow-up shot on it, and it was just like that was it for me. It was so much more fun. It was like crazy just watching that arrow go and hitting that creature and just look, I got goosebumps even talking about that.
Right.
Still. It was just something different than just going bang and watch it flop.
So I forgot you don't hunt with a gun anymore, right?
I do. I'll have it. Sometimes I'll carry it with me. I am not afraid to. I can't make that shot with a bow. Pick up the gun and shoot a deer.
Yeah.
Not at all. But a lot of my places that I do hunt are archery only. The landowners don't want guns, or the neighbors don't want guns being shot around, or this and that. But it's not because of setbacks, just because they don't want to hear the bang.
Yep.
Or I've shot deer in places where they changed it to, the neighbor didn't like the gun going off. Can you? I was like, all right, well, I'll just shoot bow only.
Yeah.
And really, for me, it's a personal choice. I enjoy it much more.
Yeah.
And it's been proven. I mean, you can do it, all throughout the season. I mean, I had a couple heartbreaks this year. There was a really big deer that I was after, and I had that deer come into 32 yards with the muzzleloader or the shotgun. I could have shot that. It's a stink bug. They're everywhere. You'll see 10 of them by the end of the interview.
Am I seeing something?
It's crawled on your hat. I'm trying to point. This is hilarious. But anyway, so I mean, with a gun, that deer on the left there, he would have been dead 3 weeks before shotgun season.
Yeah.
But same thing. It just stood there facing me, watching, and he just didn't like something and turned around and left. Now with a bow, I'm not really going to put it in the front of them unless they're super close. But with a gun, I'll put it on the front shoulder and drop them.
So that's interesting, and it gets into something I want to do more of on the podcast, is talking about the differences in rules and laws state to state for hunting, and how I think it's cool that you can go. We live so close to every other state in the Northeast. You can go and hunt different ways in different states. Even to the Sunday hunting thing, you can bounce over to New Hampshire or Rhode Island to hunt Sunday, or Vermont if you want. But every state's got different laws. Now, I know in Vermont you can't bring a bow and like a gun or a rifle.
Okay, yeah.
And so I haven't even thought about doing that in Massachusetts, so I don't know if that is that, are you talking about in Massachusetts you do that? And it's completely,
it's legal, yeah.
That's legal.
Yep.
And then Pennsylvania, is that legal?
So Pennsylvania, they have they have crazy seasons, and like I said, I only go down in the beginning, and they've changed stuff since I've been there, so don't totally quote me on this. But I know there's you can go to a tree and you can have a rifle, but you can only shoot doe with it, and then, you could shoot buck with a flintlock or a bow or something. They have crazy, what are you going after today?
Yeah.
We always make a joke about it and be like, oh, well, it's doe with a 9-inch knife on Tuesday, and then it's or whatever.
It's crazy, yeah.
But I mean, and even New Hampshire, they have. I guess you can use. Again, they'll quote me, but what is it, like half of it's you can shoot rifle, and then you gotta be shotgun only, or there's different units, and each one has its own set of laws, and and I've always thought that Massachusetts should be split up a little bit, like, because the guys in Western Mass have way different territory than here in Eastern Mass. You know, like they should be able to use rifles.
Yeah.
100%.
I want to talk about when I get Mass Wildlife on. I know they don't make the laws, but they do set some of the regulations.
Well, I think Mass Wildlife makes the laws, and then environmental enforces.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really.
But I know, but it has to go through Congress, right? When a bill has to get written up.
Well, so the problem with the Sunday hunting bill is it's a state law versus a Mass Wildlife law. So it's not like something Mass Wildlife can just say, oh yeah, we're gonna do Sunday hunting now. It has to go through all that.
But they can probably write it up and bring it to the Congress.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Yeah. So it's a harder way to push through, and it's a lot. It's not like Mass Wildlife has the opportunity to just say, okay, yeah, we're gonna try this.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania just did Sunday hunting for the first time in I don't know forever probably.
Oh really?
But they did a let me think if I'm right. 3-day trial. So 3 Sundays they picked. I think it overlapped archery and rifle, or 3 Sundays, and they tried it out this year. Not the whole season, but just
So it must be like only days. Pennsylvania, Mass, and Maine that are still.
I think there's only like 3 or 4.
It's got to be these northeastern.
A few, maybe 5. But anyway, but it's way less than everywhere else on Sundays.
But I agree with you. Like if you're in Western Mass, is like hunting Vermont and New Hampshire, and you got to get down to like what the reason is for the no rifle. I mean, you would think it's because they did it because of its highly densely populated areas, and rifles can go farther, and potential for more of an accident, right?
Yeah.
But you're right out there. But then there's also you can hunt coyotes and stuff with rifles. Even
around here. Yeah.
So it's like, what is the actual? Why is it there?
I don't. And there's some weird things that we just don't understand, and sometimes it would take so much to get stuff changed that there's other important stuff to take care of at the time. You can only do so much at one time.
Right.
Even with But now the shotguns they have and the muzzle loaders, I mean, guys you can shoot them 200-something yards, with
not much of a difference.
Saboted rounds and rifled barrels, and I mean it's pretty much a rifle.
Yeah.
I mean it's.
Yep.
I know some guys that can drill 250 yards, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Or further, with a muzzle loader or a shotgun, and it's just what's the difference between that and a 270? You're not going to take a mile-long shot.
Right. And then on that same note, it's like I've read the argument on setbacks, and I do think they should reduce setbacks here from 500 feet, especially suburban areas. If you're going out 500 feet, right, this is the argument I've heard, you're going out 500 feet, then more likely than not, in a lot of these suburban areas, you're going to be turning around facing back towards houses and shooting towards houses. Where if you reduce the setback, you can, you're not pushing in too deep into the woods, and you're actually shooting back out into toward the middle of the woods.
So, I mean, and this is a great thing because I am way pro, less setbacks just because of the area we have around here. I'd probably go out and move every one of my stands. To tell you the truth.
Yep.
I can't tell you how many times I'm just sitting there, watching deer in binoculars in people's yards, going, "Come on, this way."
Yeah.
But they know it as a safe zone. They're not dumb. Especially now in the winter, they sit up 10 yards, 15 yards right off them lawns, and they know they're not going to be pursued there by hunters anyway. But I'd love to see, instead of a 500 feet, 250, cut in half.
I think that's New Hampshire's,
and I really think that it would be more beneficial than the Sunday hunting thing. I think you get a lot more deer killed just because you're opening up a lot more areas. Now, let alone if you go like in a neighborhood and you get permission from this guy, that guy, that guy, that guy. The place I hunt, around there, I have permission from 5 different people because I'm within 500 feet.
Yep.
Of the properties of different stands and stuff, but I'm within so many feet of houses, and I have to talk to certain people, and it just opened up a couple of years ago because I finally got some guy moved that didn't like hunting, and a new guy came in, and I got the neighbor to talk to him about it, and I'll be dropping off deer meat there later in the month.
Yep.
But so I mean, as long as you have permission, you can get anywhere.
Yeah.
But it's to get into an area and then, try to hunt somewhere. And I'm never trying to be sneaky or, not letting people know what I'm doing. They're going to find out one way or the other.
When I first got here, he, John was telling me that he noticed one of the bucks he's been watching dropped one side, but he doesn't want to push into the woods yet. And we should talk a little shed hunting stuff. But it's important not to push deer early on for a couple of reasons, right? And to wait later for shed hunting. But he's like, he dropped one. I don't want to push into the woods. So I was just driving around slowly around the neighborhoods.
Yep, creeping the neighborhoods and making sure it didn't,
looking at people's backyards with his binoculars.
Yeah, it's
the cops stop you every once in a while, right?
I've had a couple incidents. Yeah, I keep one in the truck just to say, "What are you doing?" I'm they think I'm peeping people and looking for antlers, man. But in case it drops, I mean, I've had them drop right in plain sight, or even on the road. I found one in a plow push pile one spring. It just dropped on the road and the plow pushed it up.
It's weird. I had a dream the other night that was. People hate when people tell dream stories, but this is like it was. I checked a big parking lot in a dream that had been plowed, a giant parking lot plow pile.
Yep.
But it was after it had thawed, and I went there, and there were just hundreds of antlers laying around.
Oh, awesome.
And I was wondering if that was maybe that's actually a good place to check.
I'm gonna look at the Walmart parking lot different now. And be like, oh yeah.
You wait for the first thaw. Right? Did they push anything up in there?
Yeah. But back to the setbacks there.
Yeah.
So back home, Pennsylvania, for archery, I don't know what it is for the rifle there, but archery, it's 50 yards. 50 freaking yards.
Which is 150 feet or so, yeah.
It's so close. I mean, personally, I think it's a little too close, but, if you're being responsible, that's fine. And I have some stands. I mean, I have permission from them, but they're close to neighbors' houses, back home. And
but if it's 50 yards, then you're pretty much guaranteed to be shooting away, right? From houses and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, but it allows you... What it does is it allows you to get in between places. Where deer will use to navigate through these neighborhoods.
Yeah, small strip of woods
these little strip of woods. When you have a street down one side, street down the other side, a line of houses, this little strip of woods in between.
Yeah,
and they love going down them. That's where I find a lot of sheds too. These little strips in between the houses. A lot of town land is held in between strips of houses and stuff like that, and it's be able to get in the middle of that with the right access is it's pretty much a human pinch point. Not to say that they don't go through the yards, but because they do. But they usually try to keep to the woods. But really, for here to have a 500-foot setback, that's pretty far.
Yeah, it
really.
Is. Yep.
And a lot of times, some people are just like, "You're gonna do what?" Or they don't realize what you're asking them. It's like, "You want to hunt my house?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to hunt your property."
Yeah, right.
The property I have permission on is legally too close to your house, even though it's way down, it's way over there.
Yeah.
You won't. And I tell them, like, you're never going to see me. I don't access through your place. I don't, and I come around from another side. Like, you will most likely never see me ever.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Except for it comes time for me to bring some meat for letting me hunt near your house. But it's kind of like.
Not everybody would understand it.
Right. And you got to explain to some people, and they're like, well, yeah, that's fine. You're not on my property. They don't even care.
Yeah.
Or some people are like, oh, my gosh, you're hunting? Oh, I never knew. Or, But it's...
And then you got to go through the whole list of, look, hunting isn't dangerous. I'm not shooting at everything. It's, everything that moves. I got to identify my target. I'm shooting in a downward angle. And...
But then also, I mean, I've run into people who are saying, and I've gotten places, they're like, well, why don't you just come in through here? I hate the deer. You really just got to ask people. You got to, and I have gotten the no a lot of times as well. Like, I can't believe you're doing that. And it's tough because you don't want to ask and then get told no. And now they're going to be watching,
Yeah.
But it's, so.
No, it is what it is. There's a rule that I saw the other day. It's Pennsylvania. And I thought it was interesting that you're not allowed to, according to what somebody said, I don't know if this is true, but you're not allowed to communicate with your fellow hunter that a deer is like coming your way.
Oh, really?
Or
they got
the walkie-talkie,
the radio.
You can't. You're not allowed to say, "Oh, that just jumped a buck's coming over the ridge towards you," right? Like something like that. I thought that was extremely interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I know when. I'm trying to think of like. I don't know if I've ever had a situation where we had radios hooked up or
But then I thought also like isn't Pennsylvania? People do deer drives all the time, right?
Oh,
it's a big drive
time.
state.
Big time. Yep.
It would seem kind of counterintuitive, but that's what's so cool about every state being completely.
Yeah. And you got to pay attention though too. I mean, like, and that's another reason. I don't hunt New Hampshire. I'm not really familiar with all their laws and stuff, but that'd be another learning experience. You really got to sit down and go over the book and make sure what you're doing is right.
Yep.
Yeah,
I want to do a book breakdown of every northeastern state as a podcast in the future.
Right.
I think
it'll be great to hear Mass Wildlife on. I love the hear what they had to say about stuff and
Yeah, so I'm talking with their PR person on Monday, and
excellent.
We'll hopefully be doing one. What about Illinois? Anything weird in the rule book in Illinois or different?
I think there's so what are some things that we ran into? You can't shoot white deer.
Oh wow! Yeah,
white or like piebald plus 50% or something. I can't quite remember, but no white deer. What else is weird down there? But they have something cool, like if it's they have certain gun seasons, and you can't hunt with your bow during the gun seasons. But anytime it's not gun season, you can shoot archery.
Yeah.
So it's in between the seasons you can shoot archery. But personally, I like how Massachusetts does it. You can shoot a bow throughout. Yep. Which is great for me. And you can shoot muzzleloader during shotgun, but you can't shoot the other. I would really love to see crossbow be allowed for the gun seasons. I would pick up a crossbow for the shotgun and muzzleloader season instantly, just because they see you in the tree, all the leaves are down by shotgun pretty much, and it's hard to get drawn on a deer. Yeah. A lot of times they're close, and it's hard to pick that bow up and draw it. I mean, that does give part to the challenge too, but we're, the time I put in the woods and I have some deer and they see me drawing and, oh no,
I find myself now sometimes and it hardly ever lines up, but when you're looking for a tree to put your stand in, your perfect tree, and then I look around and I go, is there a big tree or something that they're going to be walking behind that'll give me the draw? You know what I mean? Like a nice buffer tree.
Right.
Or something that they're going to walk behind if they come down the perfect trail,
Yeah, it's tough because, I mean, especially with a crossbow, I could be, utilizing ground blinds more too. You just have it on a stick and, you don't got to move. You just sit there and wait. I mean, it's more efficient for sure. But it's
That's
still
cool. That's an interesting.
Still not the same as drawing on and watching that arrow.
For sure. Yep.
Instead of pulling a trigger, it's a release.
But that's an interesting for just the gun season or something.
Yeah, I'd love to see that, but it'd draw out a whole nother. Again, it's how the legislation would have to be written, and how do you allow this and not that, and because Pennsylvania went to crossbow quite a few years ago for anybody, so anybody can shoot a crossbow. And also I'd love to hear the ruling on, in Massachusetts where once you go crossbow, it's got to be a permanent, problem.
That's something I'll ask Mass Fish.
It'd be nice to hear because I've heard both ways, and how they enforce it and whatnot. But like, say if I broke my arm, okay, knock on wood. But what if I broke my arm in September?
Yep.
Great. Now my archery season's toast. I'd love to be able to shoot a crossbow for that time, just because I'm injured.
Especially if you've already bought the licenses and stuff,
right,
too.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, it's and then when I'm healed, I'll go back, if I can, go back to my regular bow, But they claim that it's a permanent disability and that you shouldn't go back to your vertical bow after you've, it's not a healable condition, you know what I mean? So that kind of stinks. It would ruin my archery season.
Right. and for the future.
Right.
If you went crossbow, then it would ruin the joy of being able to pull back, not to mention wanting to rehab and get better.
Exactly. For sure.
All right, quick announcement. Heron Hill Winery is back. They really appreciated what we did for them last year, the first 4 months of the podcast. I appreciate what they did for us, which was give us a little bit of money to pay for the equipment that we use for this podcast. And if you enjoy this podcast, you want to see it keep going, what we need to see is y'all supporting the sponsors. So support Heron Hill Winery. If you're buying wine, don't go down to the store. You can do it on heronhill.com. Order whatever you want. They got a wide array of wines, and it's free shipping for anything that's 6 bottles or more. So you really can't beat that. And if you're a first-time buyer, use code HS5 for Hunt Suburbia 5, and you'll get an additional 5% on the first buy. After that, it's going to revert back to just what their volume discounts are. But every time you order, we're going to get credit for it. And that's going to help us keep a long-term sponsor happy, keep producing amazing content for you guys week after week. We're going to get better video equipment eventually. We're going to expand what we're doing for content. So it's not just the podcast, but if you love the podcast and you love wines, or your wives or your girlfriends love wines, somebody around you does, get it for great gift. Use code HS5 at checkout. If you're a first-time buyer, if you're repeating as a buyer, just go on there and order up, and we're going to get credit for it. And I really appreciate you guys supporting the sponsors. They appreciate it. Heron Hill, the official wine of the Hunt Suburbia podcast. Go to www.heronhill.com and use code HS5 for an additional 5% off your first purchase. If you're going back as a repeat buyer, you'll get their volume discounts. And just make sure your first time you're using code HS5 so that they know that we sent you. Thanks for the support. So let's talk a little shed hunting. So you say you like to target, narrow strips sometimes, in a neighborhood or something. Do you have to ask permission if you're on a strip, like in going through a neighborhood strip?
So I'll walk pretty much anything unless it's posted.
Yeah.
If it's posted, I'll find permission.
That's another thing we'll talk about to Mass Wildlife about.
Posted.
Yeah, because when the state law trumps a town, town bylaws can trump a state law. There's a lot of arguments about
and there's a lot of difference between hunting and shed hunting, though. Right. It's not like you're out there with a weapon and you're pursuing game. I'm looking at something
it's
that
like
fell
foraging
off.
Almost.
That's correct. Yeah. Yes. I actually have ran into a bunch of foragers. There's, what are you doing? I'm looking for mushrooms. No, you're not. Okay, sure. But the real foragers, they have those mesh bags they carry with them. The clam bags, something for put their mushrooms in. I can tell them, but but yeah, really, it's and Massachusetts has pretty lenient trespass laws where you have to be told go away officially, and then the next time they'll really nail you. But it's if something's posted, I'm not going to go tramping around.
Right. Definitely don't cross posted line.
And pretty much, if you talk to people and just don't tell them, I'm not hunting. I'm just looking for cast antlers. A lot of times they'll be like, what? They don't even know what the heck you're talking about.
They don't even know that deer.
And I bring one with me. I'm like, look, they fall off, and I go pick them up. I want to walk around and look. Instead of crossing your posted line and whatever. But
what are some other spots that you like to target for shed hunting? I think you told me look behind a strip mall.
Yeah, anywhere, man, anywhere. I found sheds in the stupidest places that I mean, I sitting, on top of a rock right next to a road, I locked my brakes. I almost got in an accident, like pulled over. Like,
Top of a rock?
yeah, it was just sitting there on top of this big like rock crowd. I'm like,
That's a
an
shed.
Then I'm like, it was like in between, like this guy's has a yard like behind it. I'm like, is it like a dog's toy or something? It was, it was this one right here.
That's what I was just
It was
wondering.
sitting just like this.
Yep.
And the snow was, we just had a big snow, and the squirrels had already got it, so it was buried that hard.
Yeah.
Okay, and the squirrels had just started chewing. It was a fresh antler from that year, and I was like, what the? And it just we had like a 60-degree day. It all melted, and then it was just sitting there. I'm like, is it a dog toy? Like, no, it's a freaking antler. I knew the deer too. I'm like, oh, I never pulled over so fast. I jumped over my hood and it dove on the thing pretty much. And people are like, what is this guy doing?
That's pretty awesome, though.
But yeah, I'm waiting to do a mount with a squirrel chewing it. But
I hate that the squirrels eat them.
it's so awful. Like I showed you that big set from the one I killed in, I don't know what year it was, 12 or 13.
Yep.
And it was just the biggest set I would ever have, really, and chewed all the way down to the bases. I mean, 12, 13 inches of tines on each G1, G2, all just gnawed right down, gone. So I had to rebuild it, but it's
almost
just,
like we should hunt squirrels more than we do coyotes.
Believe me, but the coyotes will pick them up too. I found them with canine punctures in them too. They'll pick them up and they'll carry around just like a regular dog and chew on them and gnaw on them just like a dog would.
Yep.
I found them, with all the, the pinholes from the teeth and stuff like that. But yeah, it's believe me, I have, you were talking about dreams earlier, and I have nightmares of, sitting there. There's a squirrel chewing on that 150-inch, like.
Oh man, you really had that dream. Huh?
Oh yeah, it's not good.
Have you ever hunted squirrels?
Back in
Sounds like a Pennsylvania thing to do.
Pennsylvania, yeah, but here not really.
Yeah.
I'm just out.
Vermont, it was pretty fun as a kid doing that.
And that's another thing with the setback laws and stuff like that. Carrying a 22 around with you and the squirrel,
Yeah.
cracking away, people.
If you're not in Western Mass, then it's gonna, yeah.
Around here, you I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's places to do it, the WMAs and stuff like that. But I just you just looking at the cops called on you around here, just cracking away with a 22. But
yeah,
the squirrels, whatever. I mean, it's normally I'll get on them, but if they're a year or two, they'll be chewed up a little bit. But in some areas, it's weird. Like you'll have swamp area where there's not that many squirrels, and sometimes you'll find a 3-year-old shed that hasn't been touched, just bleached out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and a lot of people say, warm, sunny facing slopes and this and that. Guess what? I found just as many on a cold north facing slope, as long as it has the right cover for them to bed in. They were just bedding there, and they'd come out to the fields.
Do you find them more in bedding areas or feeding areas or dead?
Both.
Yeah.
Again, everywhere.
Yeah.
Fields. Driveways.
Well, you're not really helping
lawns.
You're not helping anybody narrow in on something.
No, I am helping you because you gotta think wherever the deer go.
Yeah, it could just
drop right there. 9 times.
But they are spending more time feeding and bedding.
Especially now, they're all they're doing is feeding, bedding. They're not really chasing around anymore. They're not doing too much fighting. They're fighting over food and areas to feed for sure.
Yeah, I got a video just last week of 3 bucks fighting. One of them had already lost his antlers, and I ended up jumping that one. After I saw that, I went in to go to see if I could find those 2 real quick that he dropped, and I jumped him out of his bed and I watched him for a while. But yeah, that poor guy was getting messed up because the guys that were still holding him were just pushing him around.
Yeah.
And then you can just see the biggest one in the back, just kind of like he's just like watching over them.
Yeah.
As they're fighting, just like seeing
figuring out what's going to go on. Yeah. Who am I going to have to?
That guy's an up and comer. All right.
Yeah.
It's cool, and it was pretty cool. But they're still fighting, and that was January 24th.
And there could be a doe and heat around as well. We have trickle rut, and there's still does that are, not bred yet.
Yeah.
They didn't take or whatever the reason, and they'll recycle until they get bred.
Normally. And there's, they're still hitting, and I know we talk about it and we'll beat it, we're beating a dead horse with it, but they visit scrapes all year long. And the
Correct.
Other, like last Tuesday, it wasn't even a week ago, I found this double scrape with a signpost rub behind it, and it was a perfect place to put a camera. And I brought I had a camera with me, a cell cam, and I freshened the scrapes up. They were pretty fresh, but they weren't hit in the last few days. I freshened them up, put some Chad scents on them, and I've had now 6 bucks. Last night,
the backyard scents there.
Yeah. They've been working great so far.
Excellent.
I never used it during hunting season. It was like after I had filled my buck tags, I started going around messing with cameras more and already scouting for the next year.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of guys had good success with his stuff.
And every buck in the area is hitting this scrape that I put them on. Mm-hmm. And that was just 7 days ago. I've got 6 different bucks that have visited those scrapes.
Awesome.
So, they're in their rutting activity still.
For sure. I mean, I've got pictures of, there was a
young guy.
Yeah, there you go. It was a doe with, I think she had triplets in February. Spots.
Wow.
Spots on these young deer. So that means she's knocked up in what, July? I mean, really? And that's around here. That's local.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Yeah, so I mean, there's crazy stuff that goes on. Obviously, 99% are taken, but I mean, there still could be, 1 or 2 that are still needed to be bred.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely scrapes all year for sure.
You ever find a shed in a scrape?
Yes, last year I got.
Did you get them on camera to follow?
No. But I was just following a trail that they had made through the winter, and just straight on, and then I came up to this big, what was it, a hemlock?
Yeah.
It's like one of the only hemlocks in the area, and they, I mean, it was the size of this table. It was just hammered, and but it was just, and then I looked over, oh, antler. I picked up the one right off the field, maybe 30 yards into the woods, and then I picked up the match. And that
was another thing I was going to ask is fields.
Yeah.
You just walk fields sometimes?
Depends of what it is. Like right now, just because we had this last cold weather, deer are on the food plot again. They're eating the turnips again. Just recently, the last week, it had gotten quiet because I killed some deer off them, but then slowly but surely here they come. They know it's there, and they're utilizing it again. So I mean, there's going to be trails going in and out to that field. They have certain places they like to bed and then come in to feed. But then there's some other areas where I don't have permission, or the neighbors don't like us, or they stay out of this area. But the problem is they go there too, and sometimes I'm sure they drop in there.
I'm sure.
Yeah, but normally 9 times out of 10 people are.
So what do you think they left your food plot because you killed some deer in there?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Do you get both those in that area?
Yeah,
the mass ones.
Same area.
Yeah. So, and do you think they were just looking for acorns and avoiding it for a while, or they probably?
Yeah,
other people's
backyards. I don't know. I mean, there's other hunters in the area too, and I know that they had some good success. They said they shot a bunch of does, but I don't know. It's strange how they did disappear for quite a bit, and then and really with some of the retrievals, they didn't. I think we went to the woods maybe 60 yards, and then the other one didn't even make it out.
Yeah.
He went to about the end of the food plot and fell over.
Yeah.
So it was it wasn't like we're driving quads through the woods or anything like that. But yeah, it's just, and then there's other, persuasive things. There could have been people walking through the woods, or earlier in the year I heard a bulldozer coming through the woods.
But you mentioned about when the snow falls, how you've noticed a couple of different things, right? So the snow falls, and now they're immediately going back to the food plot. Yeah,
because they know those turnips are there, and it's an easy food, let's say, like oak flats and stuff. I've had a bunch of deer that leave it alone pretty much until there's a snow, and then they come there.
Yeah. So they're just saving up their reserves, kind of.
Right. Or like I was telling you about, some of the crabapple trees in the woods and stuff, and there's some wild apple trees or just old orchards that are, just left alone.
Yeah.
I'll go in there and prune them trees in February.
Yeah. What was the story that led to that? There was a buck that you're watching, and you just knew that every time there was a storm. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So I was after this deer for quite a few years. Every time there'd be a snow, a significant amount, more than just a dusting, we would get, he'd be there that night of the storm or the day after.
And it was a crabapple tree.
That one there, that was a different one. That's another buck. He's still alive, but
okay.
So
But
that
you know where to hunt him when it snows.
yes,
that
for
guy
sure.
too. All right.
Yeah.
Let's
But then the day after the storm, it's a throw up. Where do I go? Do I go for this guy or this guy? This guy's does it religiously versus sometimes this one shows up. So I went for the religious one, and he showed up, of course, but quarter to me at 32 yards, and I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't put it in his front shoulder just because of the history I have with him, and I want to, there's nothing worse than watching a deer run off with a bad placed arrow.
No.
But he ended up cutting. He made a left turn instead of a right turn, and ended up going downwind of me and smelling me, turning around and running away.
But it's really cool that you have a buck dialed in that where to go right after a good storm.
Yep.
Like that's like a no-brainer. You got that one always in your back pocket to go see if he's there.
It's nice to. Well, I mean, and they're deer. They're going to do different stuff every time, but at least you have a starting point.
Yeah.
Like, man, this deer's done it. I'll just go through my pictures and okay. Like this deer shows up November 14th just to come through look for does. That's it. That's all I've ever gotten doing. Okay. So next year I'm going to go there the 13th. 12th through the 16th and try to go for him unless something else comes up, or
you see the pattern over years.
I put it on the calendar, and it'll be this deer, he shows up, December 13th. If he's around in the summer and he leaves for the rut, don't know where he goes. Who knows? 5 miles away, probably somewhere else, and then usually around December 13th, 14th, he comes back. And it's funny, like I even have one that comes back. There's 2 bucks that come and they fight for like 2 days. It's like Royal Rumble time between December 16th and the 19th.
The same bucks?
Same bucks.
They show up, they're like,
they show up, they fight.
That's cool.
And I never see them again. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
It's like definitely 2 brothers that
absolutely.
They get back together every year for quickly and like Thanksgiving and get into a little fight and get out.
Yeah. But I mean, and this past year, so 2 years in a row that happened. This past year, I had both the same deer, but I never had them fight. I mean, not that they weren't fighting like 10 feet off camera because we know it's only a keyhole, but they were in the area at least, so it's still,
Yeah. Now still, so you've got that dialed in. You know where you're going to be those days. You know after a snowstorm. Yeah. See, I haven't gotten to that level of my scouting yet where I've noticed. Yeah,
but that's all it is. Just keeping track of your trail cam photos and using them to the best of your ability.
Do you have any spreadsheets or anything, or
I'm not
just all just in your head?
No, it's in my head. It's the only thing I can remember. I can't remember dates. Can't remember what my wife told me to do 3 seconds ago. But I remember that that deer was here.
Yep.
A certain amount of time ago, and it's but I don't know. I guess it's what you love. And
All right, just want to take a quick break and remind everybody that's listening, please, if you haven't, go on to iTunes or the podcast app, anywhere that you can leave a review on the podcast. iTunes and the Apple Podcast app are the best places to do so because it really helps in the rankings. Go in there, leave a written review, tap on the 5-star rating. It's going to help us a lot in shooting up the rankings and getting this podcast out to more people, and I would really greatly appreciate that. Go and subscribe on our YouTube page if you haven't yet. It's Hunt Suburbia, youtube.com/Hunt Suburbia. Of course, follow us on all of our social medias. Continue to interact with us, and if you have any questions or anything you want to send me, shoot me an email at huntsuburbia@gmail.com. Really appreciate you guys. Yeah. So all right, and then so for shed hunting, when is like because you said before I came here, I'm gonna go check because getting a snowstorm coming through, and
so
chances are he's gonna be that. Any sheds that are on the ground now will be buried.
They're
going
to be buried.
Months.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we got this weather coming in, but also that weather coming in may make deer stay more local or not travel as much because it's more energy to use. The winter's all about energy. How much energy is it going to take to get over and feed today? Am I going to use more energy than But also, I mean, if the deer are healthy, they're going to hold on longer. That their body's not sucking in that calcium that away from the antlers, and they're going to make them fall off. So you can have deer hold up to March. almost into April. I mean, I think even some guys have some pictures of stuff in April this year, this past year, I should say. But really, plus ease of finding them. Like he has one side off last night. Now I got to think, well, I'm not going to really pursue him because what's going to happen? I'm going to push him out. Yeah. And, okay, why is this? A mile away, or, not come back for 3 days and drop it in someone's yard, far, far away where I'm not even going to look at it or I don't have permission or whatever. If they're local, and I'll try and make sure, I can see him on camera with holes in his head or I have enough pictures of him that I can tell, by a marking or, he's got a, half a tail or, the way his, a lot of times I'll look at the hocks here on his legs. Like I know one deer when he drops, how am I going to know? I know he's got big black legs. These hocks are just dripping down his legs and he's an old deer. And like, I'll know, because sometimes it's hard that they drop and they're like, wait, which one was that? Yeah. Crap. And I've gone before and then like 3 days later, that deer will show up and it's like, oh shoot, I just walked all through there, But it's, and then we have the heavy snow coming. Say we get 13, 18 inches, something silly, right? I mean, those deer are really going to, slow down their movement. Yep. They're going to pile into the houses, unfortunately, and eating bushes and not really moving as much as they would if there's only what we have now, 2 inches, 3 inches on the ground. Yeah. And not to mention, if the antlers fall off and it's light snow, they're just going to bury themselves. Versus here, they're really easy to see on top of the ground. So it's just going to hold me up for a while, even going. I don't think I've picked up but one or two this year just checking cars. Yep. But I really don't push it, like go full time. I mean, when full time, I'm hunting every day, except Mondays. I have Garrett on Mondays, but I'll throw him in the pack if it's nice enough. We'll go right in there and head out, hit a spot with not too much brush because he gets it in the face.
Yeah, I told you my wife got me one of those packs, but not like that. Yeah. And he's up on my shoulders. Yeah. And I can definitely see trying to get Greenbrier to the right, exactly.
But I mean, it's but I'll still scout other areas that I'm not sure of right now.
And then like first thaw, like you going out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I have. You probably walk by and I just put test sheds in the yard.
I saw that. Yeah. I was wondering if that's what you were doing.
Yeah. So tomorrow they're gonna get covered in snow, and they're in a shady spot that don't have any sun on them.
There's a good tip for you guys.
Yeah. So when I can see those, I know it's good. So if it's in a sunny spot, that's the one thing about the south-facing slopes, though, because they'll thaw first. Yeah. And then that's a reason to go there. But on the cold side, that snow could be there till frickin' April.
What about if the snow is like it's going to crust over, or you get a semi-thaw and then crust over? Then any buck that dropped is going to be right on top, right?
Look at the bottom of the hill; it'll slide down. Think about it. If it's that hard thing, they slide. Yeah. Think about that too.
So go to funnels.
Yep. But that's the problem is too, they'll slide down into a bush or something like that. You'll never see them. But we had some areas by the marshes where there's a steep, hill, but they bet on it. The deer will walk almost vertical. Oh yeah, they're like freaking mountain goats, and there were sheds at the bottom of it. They would just tumble down.
Wow, that's cool. So you check that?
Oh yeah, walk around the edge. Yeah. I found 3 or 4 that way. But yeah, you could tell either the deer was walking there. I'm assuming that it just rolled down because it was in a pile of sticks for all the brush that washes down. Too, yeah. With the rain and everything, and but yeah,
that's cool. So if you're gonna go and when it's a hard snow, it's packed over, it's kind of icy. Stay at the bottoms of the hills. Walk through the ravines, right?
Yeah, but it's tough. When you have that much snow. I got my snowshoes too. But really, I don't like doing that just because if you're gonna push deer out when it's that much snow and they have to really work, and you bump them, you see them, working. They're like, and they'll go and they'll turn around and be like, oh,
you son of a bitch.
Why are you making me work? It's like 10 degrees out and there's 2 feet of snow. It's up to my belly. What are you doing? You know? And, but I really don't like to push deer. And to each his own, guys are going out. And the problem with, Facebook and everything like that is, they're posting their sheds and really firing people up and they go early. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, and then they wonder why, I had this deer on camera and I went to look shed hunting and then he disappeared. Yeah. And he's going to go somewhere else, and he's not going to be around. Yeah. But really, the majority of antlers drop like now, beginning of February. That's what I see anyway.
What is a prime? Like what's the prime? Like you got, mid-November, second, third week November is prime rut. What is the best day of the year for shed hunting? If you had to pick one day.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I couldn't.
What would the date be?
The day you can get in the woods.
Is it March 1st?
Yeah. That's a little. I mean, it all depends on weather too, or snow, or whatever weather-related things go.
Because March more are going to have already shed.
I mean,
and
most
will have
in
shed.
a perfect world where only you are looking for them.
Yeah.
End of February.
Yeah.
Yeah. End of February. Just because they'll be down. Most of the time, you have a little bit of snow. I like to have snow cover because the antlers stick out, especially when the sun beats on them or whatever, and those browns just sticks out.
Yeah.
Like from a mile away.
Yeah.
Versus when they're covered in leaves or they're all, tossed in the leaves, and it's like I'll be standing 2 feet from one and be like, oh, geez, look at that. Versus seeing it from 50 yards out and they, oh, it's right there, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I like doing that. But a lot of times, not unfortunate, but it's like you gotta know where people look too. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've seen boot tracks early. Like, where are these people? I know they're shed hunting. You don't go walk through Briar Patch for fun.
Right.
It's not, it's not what's this guy doing, I know what they're doing, but it's open to anybody. It's not my land, or it's not, or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. But it's, I think they go in early. So I'm going to go, what am I going to do? I'm going to try and beat them to it. I don't know. I'll go in those spots. I've been to a couple and just moving cams, or I'll set up more cameras or something like that. And I'll move a lot from, the end of the season to some spots that I don't hunt or can't hunt, but I can shed hunt them,
Aren't there some shed hunting actual seasons in some states?
Yeah, some states. I don't know which ones, but,
that could make it, a little bit.
Yeah, except no one would pay attention, and I guess if you had one in your hand, then
that's true. And how do you know it's not one from the year before?
Right. Well, I mean, you'd be out shed hunting, but it's I know Colorado, you got to wait till what is it, May 1st, I think, to start looking for elk antlers. But that's because there's a huge market on it, and people end up running them through. I was talking to Tyler about that, and he said that people just run them through the timber trying to knock them off. Stressing them out. It's after, this is time for them to rebuild and really, relax and just focus on feeding and recovering.
Yeah.
For their bodies. Because, you see what happens to bucks during the rut. They go from these big, fat, giant beasts, in beginning of November, and they just go nonstop for a month and a half or more, and not even eating sometimes, and they just turn into these, like, scrawny...
Yeah, I've got some pictures of
eye shrunken.
Yeah.
Like the last one I shot there. He was, I never got a weight on him because we were in a rush and it was snowing and got warm out and then, but he was a huge deer and his back straps were even just sunk in. His spine stuck out about an inch. Mm-hmm. He was just skin and bones.
Yep.
A little fat on him, but it was really, that deer was just downsized from what he was. But same thing with my big one there. He was a pile of bones too.
Now it's like if they're working that hard, I know it's in their nature, right? But you think part of it's a sign that there's too many does around,
or not. It's
because
either or.
If there's less, they're traveling longer.
They're traveling longer distances. Right? There's competition. They're fighting more. I think it's either way too. If there's a pile of does, then it's almost like the ladies come to him, I guess. I don't know, but versus them having to seek them out. But I think it's a instinctual thing for them to travel.
Somebody said recently on a podcast that they would see the big dominant buck on their camera that would come through a scrape, and then you would see the big dominant doe would check it. She would be there within like 6 hours almost every time. Like, oh, she's like seeking him out. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure she knows the game and might as well get it over with, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another thing. I mean, I see a pile of does in the scrapes, almost more than bucks sometimes in certain areas.
Oh yeah, that's been happening.
They're just, just nosing it.
Yep.
Who was here? And
this one I just set up on last Monday, like I just showed you, 6 different bucks on there. There's 6 different does on there too.
Yeah.
They're hitting it just as much as bucks.
Yeah.
Almost every scrape I've set a camera on this year, the does are. I have one video that there's 5 does fighting for the licking branch.
Really?
Like they literally are coming in shoulder to shoulder. Huh. One sniffing, and then one gets on her hind legs, and they start kicking each other, and they're all just fighting for it. It was crazy.
Yeah,
it's cool to see.
Yeah, it's definitely a great, especially for the cameras. I mean, it's a great thing. Once you can't put minerals out or feed or whatever, and it's really my number one thing to get good pictures of deer.
Yeah,
because it's like Facebook for deer. They always want to go to that.
Right.
They're going to check it out.
Yeah.
I even, I love scrape so much. I mean, I put, even in the plots, I'll put a scrape tree. I'll cut the top of a oak tree off and dig a hole in the ground and set it in. And then the leaves end up just dying and holding on because, they won't drop if the tree dies. Mm-hmm. And I'll try and manipulate them to come into the plot through that. So it's an easy spot for, if they're going to see it, they're going to look at it,
Yeah, I think you showed me like months ago, showed me a picture of your plot, and I was like, what are you planting? So there are a couple things about your plot. You had evergreen trees in there.
Yeah.
Like little Christmas trees.
Yeah.
And I asked you what those were for, and you set them in your yardage,
right?
Yeah,
yard markers.
Yard markers, perfectly, what,
so
10,
I
20,
put
30?
them, I put them at 21, 31, 41, 50. That way if they walk in front of it, then it's right at the,
that's so smart.
Yeah. And then and if you go the opposite way, I usually have a blind or something on the other side, and then it's, it's the same way this way for that side. And then there's irrigation heads and stuff that are half marked.
And then you said once those trees grow up a little bit, then they're going to start using them as scrapes too,
right? Exactly. Because if I remember the first time I planted them in, and I didn't cage them or anything like that, and I just used little cedar trees because they love cedar, and they ate them down to nothing, ripped them out of the ground with her. I mean, it did. I found them like 10 years. They must have been running around with it stuck in their head because I had a stake and a wire. And, of course, I didn't see it on camera or anything like that. But yeah. So now I have them all caged up, and they're growing. They can grow through the cages, and deer can eat up to the cage. But yeah, I'll try to do that and drop trees around the plot that they enter a certain way. That they'll come by that scrape, or they'll come by a certain, I don't want them coming from right behind me. I hate when they do that. It's usually downwind too, and, it's hard to manipulate them. But if I can drop a tree or do something to make them come in at an angle where they're quartering away from me, I can get drawn on them. Or if they're leaving, it's the same way. If they're coming around something, I'll put something out at the entrance. So if they're leaving, they got to come around and leave the same way. Yep. That way they're turning away from me, and I can get the shot, and get drawn and get the shot on it. And it was actually funny. The first one in Massachusetts there, the one with the 2 spikes there, I shot him on the way out. He got skitzed out by the neighbor's got a drone he flies around. And
why?
I don't know. I still had to catch up with him because
is he a hunter or no?
No.
So he's just.
Well, he's just looking at the deer probably. Think about it all summer. He's watching these deer.
Probably got a bunch of videos of
right.
This deer.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to him because he got me shooting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember I was sitting up on the hill the one day and he hears, what the heck is that? And I see this drone and it's sitting there and it's like looking at me and I'm like, hi, go away. But oh well, whatever.
Yeah, because that's got to push deer around too.
I mean, I'm sure there's law against it or something, but I don't think he's using it to hunt or scare game or you're not supposed to. I've always wanted to follow them when it's snow cover and just see where the heck they actually freaking go. Oh, it'd be so nice.
Yeah, I think in the off season you might be able to, but we'll have to look into that one.
Yeah, there's another one from Mass Wildlife.
Yeah,
you want to write that one down.
Definitely.
Just it's stressing out game or whatever. I don't know how you would put it, but anyway, so I had seen this drone 3 or 4 times throughout the season, flying around, and I'm like, what the heck? And I followed it one time, and I'm like, where's this thing landed? So I know whose it is. I just got to go talk to him yet. I'd love to see if I don't really care. I just interested.
Well, what do you
in
mean he got you shooting a buck?
So
This year
they came out into the plot, and this deer was probably 60 something yards away, and again facing me. I can't, and I'm sitting there waiting, and then I had does in front of me. I couldn't move. I'm stuck, and then all of a sudden, here it comes. I'm like, oh no! I'm like, they're just gonna run away. I'm like, because every time they would come there, the deer would just run.
Yeah.
He zooms it, and it came in, and the deer ended up running towards me instead of back where he came from, and he came around, hooked the corner, and I was able to draw as he turned away and shot him as he was leaving.
Wow.
Yeah. So it benefited, I guess. Once out of the how many times he flew,
So maybe he got that on footage.
Maybe, yeah. I'll have to go talk to him. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But, I got to talk to him and be like, don't do it during hunting season.
Yeah.
They're so skitzed out, on that plot anyway. When they're feeding in the plot, there's, everything's, there's coyotes around there that run them off all the time. And but it's just one less thing.
I've been seeing lots of coyotes showing up on my cameras right now.
I haven't got a pile. I used to have a pile of them, and not so much anymore. But
there's a pack of 4 of them.
Oh yeah,
a couple nights ago went by.
Yeah, I have 2 that run that place pretty often. But then they'll go away for like a month, and then they'll show up again.
Yeah.
They're probably again keyholing, but they're probably there. They're just not walking in front of the camera.
I mean, I shit you not. The other night when I was doing the podcast with Neil at my house, and we just got this little dusting of snow, whatever day that was, Monday or Tuesday, and Neil pulls in. We go into the garage. An hour later, we take a break. We go outside, and a coyote had come up the driveway, like all the way up to the garage door.
Yeah. Huh.
Circled the cars that are parked all the way up against the garage door, circled like in between the cars and the garage door.
Yeah.
Went around and went out, like while we were recording a podcast.
Wow, right? That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've had them back here too in the backyard. And,
oh yeah.
It's like just sitting there. Hey.
They're as adaptable, if not more, than the deer.
For sure.
And living around here.
For sure, yeah. Yeah.
So what other things in the off season? So obviously you're going to be shed hunting here, and you're glassing every once in a while. You're watching your cameras. Are you putting mineral down? Like, do you get into the mineral and
so game, yeah, I'll put it out February. Yeah, okay. I'll start with that.
Once, because it's like once their antlers are gone, it's to help them rebuild them, right?
Right. So. Also, I mean, really, mineral is a lot more for doe as well. Mm-hmm. Helps them produce milk. That was just stuff I've read, but I mean, makes for better fawns, better, everything. And yeah, it does supply, minerals for the bucks too. I guess I'll say, but really, I think if you think you're manipulating a deer, the amount of trace mineral you have to get into them to all these products to say bigger bucks, bigger, this and that. I mean, you really need to get them to feed directly on that stuff. Don't get me wrong, I crush up Tums and stuff, and I'll put it out on the rock too, and give them more calcium and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things.
Is there a certain kind of mineral that you buy? Or?
I like the trophy rocks. I don't know, just.
Did you get it online, or is there? Do you
just Trash Supply.
Okay. Yeah.
Just that trophy rock has a good amount of stuff, I guess, in it that I've tried. What is it? That Horny Buck Seed Companies. They have a bag of it. I tried that. Didn't work great. I've tried mixing my own. You can get like 3 different bags, 50-pound bags of stuff, and mix it. It just sat in a hole, and they didn't really hit it that much. And it's funny how some places either they don't need it, or some places they love it. And oh my gosh, they'll burn through a rock in 2 months.
Yeah.
But then also, I mean, you're not supposed to. I don't place them in places I hunt. You're not supposed to hunt over a mineral site, and even after it's gone, it's still in the ground. So, but the same thing with shed hunting and the mineral sites and stuff like that. I try to put that more in a place where I don't hunt, but it's a great funnel, like in between those houses and stuff like that, where it's really easy for me to come in from a house. I don't have to go walking crazy miles through the woods.
Yeah, you're not going to be hunting
checking
there.
Stuff. Yeah, I'm not hunting there. You don't have to worry about that. Easy access to the road. Easy, somewhere in and out if I got to change batteries and stuff. Really easy for me to. I can park somewhere. I can watch and see if deer are coming in and out of an area like that. But they don't really. use as a food source. It's just something they gravitate
a little
to.
snack they like.
Like good place to put a camera on it.
Or so my buddy Mark that got me into bow hunting originally. He loves bow hunting and goes to Kansas a lot. Hunts New York, hunts Vermont. He swears he's like Pat, go to Tractor Supply, just get some cattle mineral and start feeding the bucks in your area. And he says that they'll go from, it'll add 10 or 15 inches. And I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's been studies done and tests done, but I don't know how much really can you make them eat, versus, what they're actually taking out of the plants or the soil or, I guess that's why the Midwest deer are so big because of the minerals in the soil and the forage that they get. Brings those minerals out into the plant.
Yep.
And they're eating those, and it's nothing but food.
Yeah.
Nothing but food. I mean, beans and corn and whatever. I mean, it's just nonstop food.
Yep.
Anywhere you look. Here, what are they eating? Twigs, freaking buds, drop trees and stuff like that. Like February coming up, I'll start doing hinge cuts and I'll like maples. They love maples. The buds of maples, I'll hinge cut them, drop them, and I'll put a camera on it. There'll be deer just swarming. Next 3-4 days, they'll just eat all the buds off the tree, and then I'll make some cuts on the top, and it'll sucker out, and then they'll eat the leaves on the ground. Depending on how many deer are there, but it's that's a food source too.
Yeah.
As long as you can cut the tree there, obviously, but don't go walking around public land and cutting trees down.
I was squatting down the other day, just walking a piece, and I jumped some deer and squatted down. I don't know why I always squat down, because then I get stuck and caught in the squat for such a long time, and my legs fall asleep. But I'm just I'm sitting there, and a lot of times, like while I'm forced to be still doing something like that, I'll look around and I'll find something. Not sheds, but I do look around. I'm like, maybe there'll be a shed around, but I'll notice some sign or a rub or a scrape or something nearby. And but I'm just looking at every single bud on any stick coming out of any tree, whatever
Nipped
was
off.
there, everything. Yeah,
Yep.
It's just, they really do blast through
Right.
those twigs, and forage.
Especially if it's not an acorn crop year. Here, I had decent acorn. I didn't have any whites that I knew of. I did have a decent amount of reds, but it wasn't like certain trees were good. And we're still coming off that moth infestation we had a few years ago, where a lot of the oak trees got defoliated 2 years in a row, and some of them just aren't coming back. They really got damaged by that. Some giant oak trees, and that would just dump tons of acorns, and now I haven't seen them produce in years.
Oh no.
Yeah. So it's but what else do they really eat here? Versus the ornamental plantings by your house. The yew bush, the euonymus. There's piles of stuff around your house that they're just going to nibble on. You know.
Yeah.
And that's what I'll do too. I'll drive around and I'll look for, shredded bushes. Knock on their door. That's a huge key.
Or browse line or something?
Yeah, browse line.
And then you can say, I'm a landscaper too. I can help you defend against this in a couple of different ways.
Yeah. But it's, looking at stuff like that, figure out what they're eating, how are they getting to that food? And then anything in between could be an antler laying there, It's
right.
And it's time. And everyone says, I walked 8 miles on Saturday. I didn't even find anything. Well, keep walking.
Yeah.
It's not.
At least you walked 8 miles. You got some exercise.
That's right. Yeah. It's not. It's not a rewarding sport. I'll tell you that. To be able to do, like Pat Burns and Jim Levasseur and somebody's got. Miles and miles. And
I would
miles
say it
and
is
miles
rewarding though. I like working hard for
it. It is
because if you just found one around every tree, then it's like it's just not going to be.
I'd be all right with that. I'd be okay with that. I have a bigger pile, but it's. I've had great days where I've picked up. I think I had 7 one day. That was my best day, and it was like just can't believe it. Like,
right.
I don't have enough room to put in my pack. This is great, Right. But then I walked for 3 weeks straight after that with nothing.
Yep.
We're talking 8 to 10 miles a day
in different spots.
Nothing. Like just getting lost in places and like.
Have you ever looked in the marshes, or is there a way to, or is it just not accessible?
So the marsh, no, it's just I can get right to it from back here, but the marsh is so open, big, and treacherous especially out back. They got those trenches dug that are only like a foot wide, and it can be frozen over. If you don't know where they are, you go right up to your freaking hip, and it's not real safe.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
So you can't look by a canoe or something.
You can, but it's hard to navigate. You'd have to know.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. If you figure out where these deer are, I figure out where deer are with cameras, or I drive around, or what's a good spot. And I'm always doing new spots. If I don't have a deer dropped in a certain area, I'm just going to go look somewhere else, where I had never been before, and I'll just go look there. Always trying to add on to.
That's one of the cool things about shed hunting, right? Because it's like you're targeting a new buck. If you find an awesome shed somewhere else new, then now you got a new place.
Like, oh man, look at this. And then you got to figure out, all right, how can I hunt this deer?
Yeah.
But I've also found sheds of deer 5 miles away from where I thought I was hunting them.
That's
so cool there's too. The other part of it too. Like,
but it's just more intel.
Yeah. It's another piece, But it's tough. It's tough, to just go walk. That's all I can say. Just keep walking, keep walking.
Yeah.
Because it's not a, there's no formula. People say like, oh, you should pick up at least one for every 10 miles walked. That's a general, like a formula.
Yeah.
There's no formula.
Yeah.
If you have a lot of bucks in your area, you have a better chance of doing it.
Yeah.
But the problem with it is someone could have already picked it up. You never know. Like that antler that just dropped off yesterday could have been in someone's driveway, and they already have it in their house. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to walk for 8 weeks trying to find that thing, and without going in their back window, you know what I mean? It's already gone. But
have you ever paid for an antler of somebody that somebody had that you wanted?
Like of a deer I shot or something? No.
Yeah, something like that. Like I think I'm talking to Neil about that. I think somebody had the sheds to his 190.
Oh yeah, I'd pay. I'd pay for it. Yeah. If someone had another set, like I have a couple deer that I'm missing a set from. Like this guy, I got 4 or 5 years of him, and I found a guy shedding in there last year, and I never picked up the set from last year, and now the buck's gone. So I'm like, oh, sad. I mean, like, I wish I tried to talk to him, he ran away. Like, come back, I just want to talk to you.
Yeah.
But like stuff like that, if I have history with deer, I try to buy it, but I do buy. I'll go on eBay and buy like a box of little tiny. Fork horns or like project sheds.
What'd you do with like that? Like I'm looking at Petryk over your.
Those are fake. That's
okay. All right. It's like how did you find a freaking?
I found it in a store. Yeah.
How'd you find a curved R?
Right. Yeah. You heat them up and they bed. No. But I'll buy like an 8-pack or something like that, and then a lot of times when I go door to door, if I'm asking to get into a place, I'll even give them one, or like. Because if I find a big shed there, I'm not going to show them the big shed I found there. There's no freaking way. Because you know why? Because then Tom, Dick, and Harry, their uncle, are gonna be hunting there next year trying to get this deer. So I end up saying, "Oh, look, I found a," or people. A lot of times people will be like, "Oh, geez, well, can I have it?" And that's the biggest thing with sheds. Oh, I want one.
Yeah.
And you feel bad because you're like, "No, we can't have that." But I'll have a stockpile of ones like that don't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
I bought for cheap on like here, you can have this one here.
That's cool. Yeah.
Or like people are like, oh, can I have one for my dog? Yep. Hold on. Yep. Get in the box. Here you go. Even the chewed ones like that are chewed up. Like I love that buck.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Or I have ones that are bleached white, cracked, but I know that deer. I walked 15 miles and I picked that up.
Yeah. Yeah, you got a story behind each shed, too.
Like I have a set. It's just a 4-point. It was like snapped off. It looks like it got in a fight, and both were snapped off at the same time. They were laying 10 feet from each other. Like I know right where that deer was. It was cool. I was talking to my buddy on the phone. And I looked down. I'm like, "Hi, antlers,"
Yep.
And but like stuff like that, I don't want to give them up. I like them too much,
Yeah.
Or like the good pile over there, the big ones. Like I'd never. Someone could offer me $5,000, I probably wouldn't sell it.
Yep.
Maybe. Yep. $5,000. Oof. But I mean, you know what I mean? It's just like there's a story. I want to look through
that pile with you. After.
Yeah, there's a story behind each one. There's a, I touched that shed. It's just like I picked it up and there was just something There's a connection between that deer, like especially with deer that I've been after. You find her shed. It's just like, oh, you finally, like I'm finally holding you.
Yeah.
Like this is. Then it becomes the real obsession for me. Mm-hmm. When I'm finally touching those antlers or saying, like, oh my gosh, like,
imagining what it's going to look like.
And then you can put a tape to it and figure out what they really are.
That's cool too. Yeah.
You're like all year long. You're going, well, maybe he's 140 or oh, he looks bigger than that, or maybe I don't know. It's so tough to tell with trail cam footage. Everyone's like, oh,
You
yeah,
just can't tell the inside spread, right? But you kind of can.
you can kind of guess it, but they don't score that way. And any set of sheds gets an 18-inch spread. That's standard. But it's I don't know, just holding them is
Yeah.
like
Yep.
yes.
What gets you more excited, holding a giant shed or a giant pumpkin or squash?
Oh, jeez.
I noticed some pictures on your Facebook.
Oh,
of you
with the pumpkins, yeah.
Yeah. What's that? What's that about?
So yeah, I grow. So last year I didn't grow, and unfortunately I can't grow this year as well because I got some elk trips coming up, and some other stuff that would be right at the end of the growing season. But I also grow giant pumpkins.
Yeah.
For maybe 5 years I've done it.
I was wondering if you grew those or what.
Oh yeah, right in the front yard in that hoop house, right there.
So what's the key to doing that? And how'd you start doing that?
So I bought a pack of seeds one year at a co-op or something like that, and I grew one. I think I grew like a 130 pounder, and I thought I had the biggest pumpkin in the world.
Did it say giant pumpkin seeds?
Yeah,
on
giant
it?
pumpkin seeds. Yeah, a little package of them. And I thought I had the biggest pumpkin. I took it to the fair. I was all excited. I went to the vegetable place, and they're like, "Nope, you're in the wrong place." So I go over to the big arena and talk to guy's name's George Humus, and talk to him, and he'll get. So I went over to the arena. I had no idea, of course. And here are all the 2,000 pounders, 1,000 pounders. They welcome me in. Come on in. They weighed my pumpkin up. They're first. There you go. We weigh it for you and everything. And they joined the club. And so I joined the club, and it was gets to be an obsession too. But it's.
I was gonna say
it's the perfect thing though, because right after shed season, I start my seeds in April.
Yeah.
Inside.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
What do you do between shedding and that was my hypothesis coming in.
Yeah. So
grow pumpkins.
Grow pumpkins. Yeah, pumpkins. Yeah. And work and try to make money because I don't really work.
So what's the biggest pumpkin you grew?
My biggest one is 1,000. Oh, you got me now.
1,000 pounds.
Yeah, it's over 1,000 pounds. 1,071, I think it was.
That's crazy.
Yeah, my first.
How do you even move it?
Crane. My buddy John came over with his excavator for the last one and lifted it up, and we put it in the truck. But yeah, it's they're big. I'll show you some pictures later.
How do you what's the key to growing? Do you have to feed them in a special way, or how does it?
Every day.
Yeah,
every day.
Like a special.
So we could have a whole nother podcast on this one, but the short version is you got to put water on it every day, and you got to feed it every day.
And you got to sing to it.
I had the radio on for 1 year. I left the radio going.
Did it do anything to it?
I don't know. It was 1,000 pounds or something like that.
It grew rock.
But these are, small compared to the ones that the professional growers do.
Yeah.
But it's something cool to grow 1,000 pound freaking.
Yeah. Do you eat it
fruit.
or do anything with it after?
I wouldn't eat it. I put all kinds of chemicals on that thing, fungicides and herbicides and all kinds of just keeping that free of weeds and everything.
Do you ever made a giant jack-o'-lantern with them?
I carved the Boston Bowhunter one.
That's cool.
1 year. Yeah. I'll dig that picture up somewhere. But really, I'm not even joking. When we weigh them, season starts like next week, and they usually sit in my yard and rot. I bring it back. Okay, deer season. Yeah. You know what I mean?
What do you do? How do you get rid of it?
We fed some to deer one time.
What about what's the thing called at the top where?
The stem?
Yeah. Does that feel like an antler sometimes to you? The big stem?
They usually rot on me.
Do they get huge on 1,000?
Oh, they're huge. Yeah. They're like this. Yeah. Giant.
That's crazy. You'd think that would be how there would be a contest, not just on the weight of the pumpkin, but on the girth of the stem, and
right?
You could score it.
Measure it, yeah. The long vine competition or something, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy. Those plants go 1,100, 1,200 square feet just for one plant.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gee, that's crazy.
Yeah, but it's
cool.
It keeps me at home, out of trouble. Yeah. But it's a lot of work. It's probably, I go out. It's probably an hour in the morning and then 2 hours in the evening every day, and that's bare minimum. And then probably 3-4 hours on the weekends, and it's constant.
That's cool.
Everything's automated. I have heated water out there for it to give it warm water to trick it into thinking it's still warm out.
Do deer eat pumpkins?
Oh yeah.
You might as well start growing it in your food plot,
right?
So then it turns into food.
The problem is they'll eat that plant down right away before it even gets to fruit.
Yeah.
I know some guys that do grow the pumpkins for deer, but it's they usually smash into when they're green already, and it's not it's not a great choice.
Yeah.
But and you can have they get a lot of bugs. It's very hard to keep them from getting destroyed by bugs unless you have a really hard, fungicide and bug pesticide program.
Yeah.
And that gets a little expensive. But
Right.
that's why I like the turnips. They're pretty easy to grow, and even now, they're still digging them up. It's a continuous source. They eat the tops first, down the ground. During August, September, they'll be eating the tops, and then as soon as it turns cold, then bulbs turn sweet, and they start eating those. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you, I walk through sometimes as it warms up. Man, does it stink? Oh, it's like a rotten cabbage, patch. But
yeah. All right. Well, Cool. Thanks a lot, man. That was a great podcast.
Excellent.
Hopefully, people picked up some tips on shedding and growing huge pumpkins at the end there.
Sounds good.
Thanks for listening to the Hunt Suburbia podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. We're going to release an episode every single Sunday throughout the season, throughout the entire year, and we will possibly be releasing some bonus episodes here and there throughout the week as people, come in freshly off a bow kill and tell their stories. We hope that happens throughout the season. There might be weeks where you get 2 or 3 bonus episodes. You might not get one for a couple of weeks, but there will be some bonus episodes. But you can count on us every single Sunday to have a new interview on throughout the season. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week. Big bucks I've been dreaming often, every night till I'm in a coffin. Vermont woods to the burbs of Boston, I'm looking for a tree to get lost in. Crisp mornings, little dust in the snow. Quality time, just me and my bow. Fall evenings, I know just where to go for some quality times for me and my bow. It's just me and my bow.